if a new administration comes in, they're going to shut all this stuff down.
Right.
And even if, trust me, Charles, on this, if the Dems win the House in 2026, all you're going to hear about from a Democrat-led House, impeachment hearings. That's all you're going to hear. They're going to shut everything else down, defund some of these investigations. So that's what I mean when I say they don't have time on their side.
Right, right. I'm going to turn so I can make sure I can read this correctly off the prompter. I want to get it right. Dan Bongino made a social media post on X recently in which he confessed to being shocked to the core by what he has seen during investigations in which he's been a part. He also stated, "This is no way to run a republic." Now, what is your takeaway from these somewhat cryptic statements? And I believe Dan's trying to let us know, hey, I'm not one of them.
He had his chance. He blew it. When he went along with that, there's nothing to see. We looked at the video. There's no client lists, so on and so forth, and case closed. He blew it. Then we learned that he was upset that he went along with this line of rhetoric. Well, why did he do that? He sold his soul. There was one of those moments where he should have stood up and said, look, I ain't about this. You guys do what you want. I'm resigning tomorrow. And he didn't. So now what I read out of this cryptic message is hyperbole. It sounds more like a title of a book or a theme of a book. Maybe he's already lining himself up for a book deal. And look, I don't have anything against Dan Bongino, but he went in there and he had a chance. You don't get many chances. And when he went along with that line and there was nothing to see here, and he knew it was wrong, because later on we found out he was upset about it. Well, he should have said something then. So now he comes out with this cryptic message. First of all, come on, Charles. Shocked to the core. I've been around a lot of stuff in my lifetime in policing, 40 years. Nothing shocks me. Nothing that I'm hearing about coming out of these records and memos from, that Tulsi Gabbard's declassified. I'm not shocked by any of this crap. This is the kind of stuff that has been going on for a very long time that we, the American people, knew was going on, and all was met with was, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Well, now we have the proof. That's why I said I'm not shocked with any of this. And he drew his line in the sand when he tried to take out Bondi. When he said it's me or Bondi, you got to be real careful with that. When you make a move like that, that old saying, if you're going to take out the king, you better make sure you kill him.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have drawn a line. Don't do that to the president. Don't do that. Me or her. You don't do that sort of thing. So I think he's looking at getting out of there. He's on his way out, and he's setting himself up for what he might do after, including writing a book. And he's teased us with this, shock to the core. Nothing shocks me that goes on in government, Charles. Nothing.
Well, you mentioned D&I, Tulsi Gabbard, and her investigation, and I want to use a Hillary Clinton line into this vast left-wing conspiracy, which it truly was. And the Russia hoax, their attempt to undermine the first Trump administration. Why is it that these things come up? And before President Trump was even in office in his first administration, in November, Democrats were already using the word, impeachment before he even took office. And now Republicans have all this smoking gun evidence of a Chicago-style approach to politics and a great conspiracy, and I don't have much faith that they're going to do anything with it. Why don't the Republicans ever prosecute?
You know why you don't have any faith? The same reason I don't have any faith, because it never happens. Seeing is believing. That old saying, we got to see it this time. And the Republicans, I think the reason why they kind of like shuffling their feet and slow walking this stuff too, they're getting ready to go on a summer recess, and they haven't appointed a U.S. attorney the U.S. attorneys that Trump needs. That's a different story. However, they're all part of the political class. It's the uniparty. And they all know, that could be me one day that they come after. So I'll just kind of keep my head down. That's the culture that has infected Washington, D.C. and our federal government. There's just not much leadership. There's a lot of showmanship. You got a lot of saber rattling by some of these people, but you don't see any real action. Why? Is because they're a protected class. Let's be honest. They are a protected class.
So I brought up Chicago politics as usual. Do you think the evidence shows, the evidence we've seen so far, do you think it reveals that the crime was treason or just Chicago politics as usual?
Oh, wow. I'm careful about using the word treasonous, and the reason I am is because I don't think we've charged anybody with treason in over 200 years.
Right.
And I don't think that we're about to start that now.
Yeah.
There's other corruption statutes that would force people to do a long prison sentence for.
Yes.
And so, yeah, the treason, sometimes that word is, I don't know. I don't want to say hyperbolic, but it's, what do they call it? Something skies falling rhetoric.
Yes.
It could be, but I don't see anybody being charged with treason. We can't even get them charged with a simple obstruction, for heaven's sakes. And
Right.
How we're talking about treason, we may want to. I'm not saying I'm against that. I'm just a little careful because, like I said, it's been over 200 years, probably more, that somebody was charged with treason in the United States. And that's punishable by death. Do you
Yes.
really think if we charged Barack Obama and that's the only thing that would make him escape or not cover him for immunity is treason, but it's punishable by death? Do you think this federal government, this Trump administration, and this Bondi DOJ, Department of Justice, is going to try to charge the first black president with treason, convict him, and put him to death? It's not likely. Let's be honest.
I don't think so. Absolutely. Well, I had to ask the question. So I wanted to ask you one more before we transition to one more part. I wanted to ask you what hope in a situation where we're halfway through the first year of the Trump second term and we are looking into kind of a bleak situation in terms of action taking place. Like we're making moves economically, we're actually making laws out of some of this policy, but and some of these things are good, but the aspects that the American people were hoping to see take place are not really moving forward. What is the hope? Is the American people really looking to see out of these first 2 years? What do the American people want to see out of this second and final Trump term?
They want their government back. It's been taken from us. And, it's so deep, the deep state, the tentacles are so deep and so vast. It's going to take some time, but like I said, if you could quickly hold a couple people accountable, that would give me hope. You asked, what hope do you have? But short of that, I'm tired of the rhetoric. I'm tired of the, every day a new report, a memo is discovered, this, that. That's all good stuff. There's enough right now to indict. When you indict somebody, you don't need proof beyond a reasonable doubt. You don't need proof to convict. That's the trial portion of justice. To indict, you just need to have enough to prove that a crime may have been committed. May have been. And then you go through the trial. Now you're going to have to produce volumes of evidence and testimony and so on. You don't need that for an indictment. That's why I said Pam Bondi needs to quickly convene a grand jury and get an indictment. She should be able to get an indictment on what's available right now in 30 days. Should have been done.
So do you think the deep state might at some point feed a couple of members to the beast, as it were? Do you think that maybe people like Strzok or Page, the FBI lovers, might be indicted?
That's not going to be enough. That's not high up enough on the food chain to satisfy the wolves at the door, and the wolves would be us. We're chewing through the door, and they think they're going to throw us a couple of low-level people, and maybe they were high-ranking in the FBI, but they're low-level on the food chain here. That's not going to do it. I wouldn't go anywhere, I wouldn't go any lower than former CIA director, director of national intelligence. We're talking about Clapper. We're talking about, who's the other guy?
Brennan and Comey.
Brennan, Comey. I would start there, maybe then move up to people like Hillary Clinton and others who were involved. But no, that Page and that other clown that she was involved with, that's not going to be enough.